Welcome to your Fat Wallets podcast. I am your host, Jim Elizondo from Real Wealth Ranch. Friend, have you ever worked harder every year, planned more, moved your livestock faster, and still felt like the ranch wasn't getting lighter? I don't mean worse or failing, just not settling. Today, I want to talk about something personal, not a system, not a grazing plan, not numbers, just a shift that happens slowly inside me. A shift from chasing growth to watching the grass first. Years ago, I believed progress meant pushing forward. More gain, more movement, more visible improvement. And that's what we hear everywhere. At cattle sales, at conferences, at the coffee shop. If cattle gained more, we were succeeding. If the grass looked green, things were working. And honestly, I wasn't trying to force anything. I was trying to be responsible, trying to improve, trying to do what I thought good management looked like. But something began to feel different. The ranch looked productive, yet it didn't feel calm. And that quiet difference stayed with me longer than any number ever did. I remember a season when rainfall was decent and cattle body condition looked strong. Anyone visiting would have said things are going well. But inside, every day felt slightly rushed. Cattle moves happened faster than I wanted. Grass never seemed fully finished or recovered, and I carried a quiet tension I could not explain. Nothing dramatic was wrong, but nothing felt settled. That's when I began to realize something important. You can have growth without having rhythm. One afternoon, I stood at the edge of a paddock watching my cattle graze. Their heads were down, they were grazing steadily. From a distance, it looked efficient, but something felt incomplete. The grass wasn't stressed, yet it didn't look finished either. And for the first time, I noticed where my attention was. I was focusing on cattle performance more than I was watching the land itself. That realization didn't come with a solution. It came with a question. What happens if the land is speaking and I'm not listening? Many ranchers chase growth because they care deeply. We want to improve. We want to build something better. But growth without rhythm can feel heavy. You move your livestock more often. You constantly adjust your plans. You feel like you are always managing the next step. And the ranch becomes busy, but not balanced. And that heaviness doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. It shows up in how you feel when you walk into a pasture. When I say I began watching the grass, I don't mean measuring height. I mean noticing posture, energy, completion. Some paddocks felt calm after grazing, while others felt interrupted. And I couldn't explain it at first, but over time, I realized plants follow a rhythm just like animals do. And when we interrupt that rhythm too often, the system carries quiet stress. A rancher once told me, "Jim, I'm doing everything right, but I feel like I'm always pushing." And that sentence stayed in my mind. So we walked his pastures together. Nothing looked extreme. Infrastructure was good. The cattle looked fine, but he's grazing, never allowing the grass to feel complete. Everything was efficient, yet nothing felt complete. And I realized something important. Efficiency without rhythm can feel exhausting. Ranchers are problem solvers. We don't sit still when something feels off. We adjust, we trial, we improve, and the ranching culture rewards visible progress. Heavier caps, faster rotations, more output. But not all growth feels the same. Some growth feels calm, some growth feels forced, and you can feel the difference long before you can measure it. And I didn't wake up one morning and decided to stop caring about performance. That wouldn't be honest. Instead, my attention slowly moved. I began asking different questions. Not how fast are my cattle gaining, but instead, how does the land feel after grazing? Not about how much did we harvest, but more like, did the grass complete something before we moved the cattle? Those questions didn't give instant answers, but they changed how I walk through the ranch. When I stopped pushing growth as the main objective, something surprising happened. The ranch didn't slow down, but it softened. Cattle entered new paddocks more calmly. Grass stood longer before grazing. Moves felt intentional, not reactive, and my own energy shift. I felt less like I was pushing against the system and more like I was walking alongside it. There was a time when I thought good management meant controlling every detail, timing every decision, anticipating every outcome. But over time, management began to feel more like a conversation. The grass started responding, the animals responded, the landscape responded, and my role shifted from control to awareness. One morning, just after sunrise, I stood watching cattle graze quietly. No urgency, no pressure, just steady movement. The grass held you and the ranch felt still. Not slow, not stagnant, just balanced. And in that moment, I realized something simple. Progress doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks peaceful. I meet ranchers everywhere, ranchers who are working harder than ever, and they care deeply. They want improvement. Yet, many carry a quiet fatigue, not because they are failing, but because they are trying to push growth without listening to rhythm. And that pressure builds slowly, season after season. When I say wash the grass first, I'm not saying to ignore animals. I'm talking about the order of attention. Instead of asking first, how are the cattle performing? Ask instead, first, how does the land feel today? Is it calm? Is it rushed? Is it complete? Those simple observations began guiding my decisions more naturally than any chart I had followed before. And results were surprising. As I shift my focus, something unexpected happened. Animal performance didn't disappear. It became steadier. Grass didn't stop growing. It seemed to grow with less urgency. And the ranch felt lighter, even during difficult seasons. Not because I added complexity, but because I removed tension. So here is one thought for this week for you. I don't want you to change your system tomorrow. Just try one small shift. The next time you walk into a paddock, look at the grass before you look at the cattle. Notice whether it feels finished or interrupted. Notice whether the landscape feels calm or rushed. That simple act can begin to change everything you see. And I'm not sharing this as a prescription. I'm sharing it like a conversation between neighbors leaning on a fence. Because most ranchers don't need more pressure. They need reassurance that listening to the land is not a weakness. It's awareness. I used to chase growth because I believed that was success. But over time, I learned that growth becomes easier when you wash the grass first. And not because you do less, but because you begin to move with the land instead of ahead of it. And if one day you feel ready to explore this rhythm more deeply, I'll be here walking the path with you. Go to www.rwranching.com/learn. I am Jaime Elizondo. May God bless you, your family, your livestock, and your land.